Well, well, well. What do we have here? ESRB blast report dad's using facial recognition technology to verify the ages of children. Now, where have I heard this before? Where have I seen this sort of bullshit before? Why, it's the Patriot Act all over it again, except for this time it's for video games instead of terrorism. We're going to be using all of your webcams, all of your iPhones, all of your whatevers, and we're going to scan your face and we're going to make sure that you're not up to no good. Whether you're saying some crass words or some other bullshit, guess what? We're after you and we want you. We want your facial recognition. We want to know exactly where you were and why you were there. We want to know that you're a lawyer who's against us trying to see a school play with your child in it. And we're going to block you from entering our premise because of facial recognition. Yes, that was a thing that happened literally last year. A lawyer was prevented from accessing a theater hall because of facial recognition, and she was denied entry to the building. And the reason why she was denied entry to the building, because she was a lawyer who worked at a firm who had a lawsuit against this theater. And now we have ESRB using facial recognition. Well, gee, I wonder who they're going to prevent with this. It isn't going to be the kiddies, because let's be real, this ain't for the freaking kiddies. However, what it will be for is for people that the ESRB deems as unsuitable to play video games or watch TV shows or movies or whatever else and create a second-class citizenship. Now, this is like full-on conspiracy, blowing this out of control bullshit, but let's be real here. This is the slipperiest slope that ever slipped. We, well, especially myself, was alive during the Patriot Act and the shit that went down with freaking WikiLeaks and that other guy who I should remember his name, is very important, who's currently in Russia. No idea what the fuck's happening with him in Russia with all the shit that's going on for Ukraine war. But that shit was illegal to the extreme. And this shit here is going to be the illegal to the extreme. Now, they go on to say that they will not be saving the selfie. And let's see if I can find it quickly. To be perfectly clear, any images and data used for this process are never stored, used for AI training, used for marketing, shared with anyone, the FTC spokesperson says. The only piece of information that is communicated to the company requesting verifiable parental consent is a yes or no determination as whether the person is over the age of 25. This is why we consider it a highly private protective solution for the VPC. Now, I'm going to tell you something very important here. This is a fucking lie. We know this is a fucking lie because you know who else said this? A Ring camera organization. They were like, nah, we don't save any of the camera footage that you take. We don't record any of the camera footage that you take that's on the cloud. Nah, no, we have no saving whatsoever. Well, guess what? They did save it. And guess what? It could be accessed by people outside of the operator of that Ring device. Now, I don't know if it was specifically Ring, but let me find out. Ring device sends video online. Let's see if that was it. No. Let's see if we can get through this. All I can find is what it is. I remember what the fuck it was called. I wish I could remember everything that I need to remember in my life. I really do. Eufy cloud video. Was that it? That was it. It was Eufy security cameras. They would send the data from the cloud without consent. And you could get the IP address of that Eufy device, and anyone could watch it online regardless. And so what people were doing was they were, observing and testing the footage to make sure it was, the right footage and not anything wrong. And it was employees at the Eufy company could literally see into other people's homes, whoever they wanted that was using these Eufy devices, and get any sort of data they wanted from that Eufy thing. Now, this being said, this may be like for like a 2 or 3 second period instead of like literally on the entire time, but that is a whole other issue that doesn't need to be talked about. The fact that they want these facial recognitions can only be used for 2 purposes. One, for the FBI. So that way, if any illegal citizen who has done something illegal or has a warrant out for them then uses this facial recognition stuff, they will get scanned and it will ping FTC, and then they'll send that data onto the FBI, and then the FBI will know where you were when you did that scan, and they'll come knock on your door. And so if in the future they start connecting video game accounts to particular people's faces, they can work out a lot of stuff about you. And especially if they start bringing in stuff like collective bullying against specific people for any specific reason. For example, do you use curse language in a League of Legends game and you are labeled as toxic and you got banned in League of Legends, and then they link that League of Legends account with your other accounts, and they link those accounts with facial recognition, which means that whenever you try to make a new account to avoid these ban offenses, you'll be tracked via your face, and your ban will convert from one League of Legends account to another League of Legends account, and you could be perpetually banned from playing video games for the rest of your life, which is just draconic for, using some toxic language. And I kid you not, this will happen. Now, the other thing is the whole COPPA argument, which they go on to in this article. By the way, this is IGN. They did a good job. They wrote this up real fast, and I'm real proud of them and glad they did it. COPPA, Children's Online Private Protection Act. Now, what this means is that whenever anyone under the age of 13 has anything saved about them, it is considered illegal and can be fined. And Facebook was allowing accounts to be created by people under the age of 13, and data would be tracked about them. For example, their clicking methods, their buying methods, what sort of advertisement they want. Another company that got really heavily hit by this was YouTube, and now they have to have a proper YouTube Kids app, which does not track any sort of data for the kids that use those YouTube Kid apps, and also restricts them from seeing mature content, which is a good thing and a bad thing. And the reason why COPPA exists is to prevent advertisements from directly advertising to kids through specific data based on these websites and algorithms and everything else, because that is stealing their information, which is illegal under the age of 13. I personally think it should be illegal, all the way up through whatever age, but that's just how it is. We protect our kids more than we protect ourselves. That being said, some people like seeing advertisement that is catered directly to them, Oh, I've been searching on Amazon. I want to buy key slips. I don't know. And so you'll get advertisement on other Google places about key slips. Now, where this gets super creepy is when your phone hears what you're saying out loud and they go, "Ooh, key slips, you say?" And even though you haven't searched anywhere online about key slips, all you've said in passing was to a mate, in a room, not on a computer, not through anything online, but your phone heard it, it'll go, "Oh, key slips, eh?" And they'll start advertising to you key slips. What's a key slip? I don't fucking know. I just made up something that would be weird and innocuous that could get advertised to you. So this is a super duper slippery slope for many reasons. Now, one of the things that people will say is a good thing about this is recently there was a kid who was kidnapped by a sexual deviant, and he allowed the kid to use her Switch. And because she was underage and her friend noticed that she was using her Switch, and she knew that she was not missing, I should just say. She knew that she was missing, and so she activated the switch, and the switch pinged to the Nintendo server saying, hey, this kid's playing the game. That information was then forwarded to the FBI, and the FBI could then track where that switch was when it was online, and bang presto, the kid was found, the kid was saved. So there is good things to say about this method. For example, if you were kidnapped and you then had to play a video game somewhere and your face got scanned, we could then find that kidnapped person through these scans. But this is way too much of a invasion of privacy to ever be worthwhile, especially for something as simple as allowing people under the age of 13 to not play mature games, because that is really up to the parents rather than some weird program that's being forced onto stuff. Now, this, of course, is probably going to be purely optional, which means that it doesn't have to be on at all. But even if it does have to be on, which it shouldn't, and even if it is optional, this is still way too far to go, because all you really need for parental controls is a 4-digit code that your child doesn't know. And once you work out that the child knows that 4-digit code, change it to a different 4-digit code. And it doesn't have to be a 4-digit code. It can be a full-on hex key. You know, basic hex keys that you go onto Google and say, create me a password key, and go, oh, sure, here's a password key. It can be literally that. And that way the kid won't know what the password is, and that way the kid won't have access to the game unless you, the parent, put in that 4-digit key or whatever password you want. And that's how it should be, not using facial recognition, which is just literally stupid. Now, that being said, this could absolutely not be true and could be just some weird ass leak by some weird person who was just, you know, trying out an idea in the office somewhere, not actually meaning for it to ever go anywhere near public, you know. We need to train the staffers on how to write documentation or something like that. And so they go, all right, this is the theoretical idea that we want to make up. We want you to write the documentation for this. And that way, once the documentation has been written up, we can see how well you've written it up and make sure there's no faults with it. And then they allow you to actually do proper documentation. That could be the case and just got leaked and some bullshit happens and now everyone's talking about it, including myself. But anyway, that's all I got to say. This shit's bullshit. It's a slippery slope that's way too slippery. And don't use it. And it should literally never ever come out. This is just... I was around the Patriot Act. That shit's scary. And that shit's still going on today. It's why I don't like webcams. It's why I'm using a proper camera instead of a webcam. That's why I always put this cap back on it when I finish using it, even though I know it's off. You just never know for sure. This microphone could be recording everything I say and uploading it to a government agency, no matter what, even when I'm not using the webcam with any program. It is scary out there. And this shit just makes it even more scary. Because you know they'll push it too far. Alright, see ya.